I'm about to go live with Lucy Ikechi, and I'm very excited to have her on board today as a guest. So I'm just connecting on Zoom now. Just a few seconds. Next. Mm, Getting there, just a few seconds. Just type, let me see, title, copy, paste, change the setting to public, and and then we can get started. Yes, and we're connected on Facebook. So let me check really quickly. Okay, and we are officially live. Should be live now. Okay, let's go back to Zoom. Admit. Lucy. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Good
We
evening.
made it.
We finally get to meet. Oh,
Exactly.
this,
Can you hear me okay?
yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
Yes,
Great.
now we're both on screen. And so thank you again for joining me today. And so let me start with
Hello.
a proper introduction. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my weekly Facebook Live interview. And my guest for today is Lucy Ikechi, and she's the managing director at Accenture. And she currently leads the firm's financial services restructuring business in the UK and Ireland. And she was also named one of Britain's brightest female business leaders five by Management Today magazine. So, Lucy, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time out to join me tonight and to share your story, to motivate and inspire others in their own journey. And so let's get right into it. And so, what's your backstory? How did you get started? And you didn't suddenly turn into this young, fierce black female executive. So, yeah,
How did it happen? Well, yeah,
how did it
an
happen?
overnight success story. No, no, no. I wish it was. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your channel, and hi to all your viewers. I guess you've kind of summarized some of what I've already done, right? But
Yeah,
I guess just to kind of go into a little bit more detail in terms of that backstory. I joined Accenture. It's been the place where I've really grown up in terms of my corporate career. And
yeah,
I joined Accenture straight from university. And I guess the key headline for me is really I'm made partner managing director in just over 10 years. And that was an interesting journey for me, as you say, as a young black female in a
yeah,
very corporate world. Um, so that was certainly, yeah, a journey. And I think, in terms of just my upbringing before that, there was always that, I guess, that ethos of work hard, and work harder than other people.
yeah.
So I think that has definitely helped me along the way in that journey, to kind of get to where I've got to. And I guess just, to bring what I do to life a little bit more. You mentioned I look after kind of restructuring. Some people are probably thinking, what the hell is that? So I work for a management consultancy firm, Accenture, very, very large firm. We have 500,000 people globally. And I sit within our financial services business, and I interface with mainly investment banks, and I help them with anything to do with restructuring, which really means helping them with divestments of businesses, mergers and acquisitions, also business transfers, aka that thing called Brexit once upon a time, any kind of, I guess, complex business transformation. I'm your lady to help you do that. And that's what I do. The other side of what I do at Accenture is also innovation. So I love working with startups. I know your channel is all about that. So I work with a lot of startups as well, and get them through some of our accelerator programs, help them with coaching, and also just encourage. And you used the word before, inspire. So inspiring our own workforce to also think a bit more entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Not necessarily get sidetracked in the fact that they work for a big organization. I think even when you're in a big organization, you actually have to still have an element of entrepreneurial thinking and risk appetite to you. So so that's just a little bit more background in terms of what I do. But hopefully I've covered your question in terms of how I
Exactly. So, I mean, how was the transition like for you? I mean, you were fresh out of college and then you started your career at Accenture. How was the transition like from college, from school to the corporate world?
Look, I think when you go through a graduate program, which I did for 2 years, you have the chance to adjust versus working maybe a couple of years in a corporation, a couple of years somewhere else, and a couple of years somewhere else. You're always kind of an experience hire. So I had, I guess, the luxury of going through a graduate intake program, but I also was somewhat clear when I started Accenture in terms of what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be facing clients and liaising with clients and be in a dynamic industry. So I think as long as you align yourself to that within the firm that you're in, then the rest is yours to, you just have to see what cards you're dealt and also make your own luck as well along the way. And I think I remember my first kind of aha moment. I call these aha moments when the light bulb just goes off. I was probably 2 years into my career at Accenture, and I realized, damn, I'm only just about to start my career at Accenture, because I realized at that point some of the game, right? I realized some of the tricks that I should be employing. And I think I just had a bit more exposure when I was at my 2 mark level at Accenture. So I think the first 2 years I was somewhat sheltered on the type of project I was doing. I had a very supportive system around me, so a lot of people that I could leverage and learn from. I had the benefit of travel. I was in India for about 7 months, and over the course of the year, thrown straight into the deep end in terms of managing other people. In India as well as the UK. So again, maybe some of that was luck of the draw. After the 2 years, I went on to much smaller projects where I was fully exposed, and you learn even more, right? You don't have the comfort of maybe 10 layers above you telling you what to do every day. You just have to figure it out. But that was my best learning experience, because I figured it all out. I had to. I was, running my own contracts, my own financials, and then dealing with the client and trying to negotiate.
Oh my God.
So had I not been in that situation where I was, I call it completely exposed, I wouldn't have probably had the decent steep kind of curve at that 2-3 year mark. So that for me, I mean, it was not overnight. When I look back at myself in my earlier days in my career, there's definitely been some of those steep learning curves, and that was definitely a steep learning curve.
Yeah. How did you get the job at Accenture?
How did I get the job?
Yeah.
I just applied.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So when I was at university, I was studying information systems. I always did things which were more, so my A levels, I did 4 kind of A levels, maths, English literature, business studies, and IT. So more sciencey tech type courses. But knew I wanted to go into banking when I did a placement at Lloyd's Banking Group for a year. And I remember doing I did another kind of internship with investment banks for a summer, and that was for like a few weeks over the summer, like a taster program. And I think the combination of working for a bank, a retail bank, and an investment bank gave me a little bit of insight in terms of this is what the industry, the financial services industry, is like. And this was like right before the crash, right?
Yeah.
Where it was very, very dynamic. Now, then I saw that at these banks were these people called consultants, and actually they get to kind of move on to different projects and not just stay working at Lloyd's, or just stay working at Morgan Stanley, or just stay working at Goldman Sachs. And I'm a very curious, dynamic person. I need variety. I get bored quickly. I need headlines. Anyone who works with my husband knows, given the headlines, I like to keep it moving. So the aspects of being in an industry such as financial services, and also working as a consultant where I have variation, really appealed to me. So I was like, okay, then I now need to apply for a management consultancy firm and ensure that within management consultancy, I can sit in financial services. So how did I know about Accenture? Well, they're a large management consultancy firm, one of the biggest. So yes, I considered them within my list of applications, and I wasn't going to apply for a bank. I knew that I could work at a bank via the management consultancy route, and I knew that would be best for me. And the rest, literally the rest is history. Exactly. Always her story. Yeah.
So, and you are about to launch some of your own business initiative this year. And so how will you navigate and manage your corporate work and your entrepreneurial life?
Yes. Okay. Well, look, I think first and foremost, as I said before, I think when you work in an organization, yes, you have the luxury of, ultimately it's not your business, so you technically should be able to go home and sleep at night. But I have had many a sleepless night through my 12 now years at Accenture. So it just doesn't work like that. And my ethos is always, and it is always to my teams, treat the business like it is your own. It is the best way to understand how business works. And quite frankly, having had now 12 years experience, 12 plus years, 13 years experience working in business and working with clients and dealing with issues, and the list goes on. You're learning all of those aspects of business, and now in the level that I'm at with the bit of the business that I'm responsible for, it's great to just have something that is carved out and is your niche and is your thing. So I don't look at the task in terms of, okay, I'm going to go and start something else which is going to be my own. It's really daunting. I see it as additive, and I will be doing it at the same time working at Accenture. So this is not a resignation announcement. By the way. No. But I don't see it as something really daunting. I see it as something, as I say, additive, and it's a continual journey. But for me, some of the key things, when people ask me, how do you even do the things that you do just at Accenture and outside of Accenture, because I'm quite active outside of Accenture, hence our connect. For me, I say it's one thing: it's good teams. The contrast between how I operate in terms of the ability as a management consultant to leverage people in my teams. There's 500,000 of us globally. Wow. I'm a team person, so I can leverage people, and I need to leverage people, and I do leverage people in my teams. And whether that is Jochen in my team, or James, or Pfizer, or Bill, or Bob, or Claire, or Booker, or whoever it is, I think it's making sure that you're not a one-man person or one-woman person. You're not a one-person band. You have to identify what you don't have, the skills that you don't have, and then bring other people in to help you and support you. I kind of see it as shopping in a supermarket and making sure that you get, if you're on a timer, it's just quicker to have a team and to have different people going onto different aisles to get your products. So that's kind of how I see it. And I think in terms of, if I can manage the corporate life which I can in terms of with my teams and having good lieutenants who want to continue rising and ultimately want to do your role and want to take your role, right? Because you've got to help them get up as well. Then that will help me in my corporate side. And then similarly on the kind of, you mentioned the kind of initiatives that I'm looking at, making sure that I am not taking on too much and I'm outsourcing in the right ways, for the various tasks that do lie ahead of me. So that's how I plan to balance everything.
So would you mind sharing some of your business initiative of this year? And and what problems would you be solving?
Well, very sneaky question because it's not yet launched. But I can tell you, there are two core concepts. So one is probably more of an emotional pull, if I'm honest. Something that was sparked in me when my dear father, passed away 7 years ago. And it was something I wanted to do to one, give back, but also to have a bit more of a footprint for my heritage, which is Nigerian.
Yeah.
Shout out. And Ibo.
Cameroon. So.
Okay, no worries. We've heard of your country before.
Yes.
Don't worry. It's all love.
West Africa.
Exactly. So one is based much more on, I'd say, the emotional pull in terms of, that event happened and it sparked in me the need to do something and give back and put Africa on a map and Nigeria on a map in a different way. So one is much more, I'd say, cultural focused, but it's an online service. The second concept has two different components to it, and this is something that I'm super excited about. And it kind of brings together a lot of the things that I've been doing and a lot of the things that I do these days, whether it's around advice or speaking or coaching, entrepreneurship, innovation. It kind of pulls all of those things together in one place. And again, it's a number of online services. So that's probably about as much as I
would like to share. Well,
I will say I'm really excited and excited about where we've got to. A lot of the operational items are kind of in place. So looking forward to a busy 2021.
Exactly. And I mean, before moving on to the next question, I just want to tell you that I'm really excited about following your own entrepreneurial path. This is initiative unfold. So I'm really glad that we're connected. So I will be following you.
Please, no problem. Let's stay connected for sure.
And, so I'm really excited about that. And so if we remove all your accomplishments and from leveraging your platform within Accenture and from getting American Express to sponsor the Iqbal Cultural Support Network and all that, who is Luchi Ikechi? What matters the most to you?
Oh, what matters the most to me? I mean, freedom is so important to me. Of course, there's, friends, family, love, all of that. But freedom really summarizes that. Freedom and happiness are the two. Those are the two. When I think about, what matters for me, it's anything that gives me a deep sense of emotional energy, positive emotional energy, and freedom and happiness give me that. Whether or not I'm with, I have the freedom to go and see my friends or my family when I want, or how I want, or for how long I want, or I'm just happy with some of the basic things in life. And I think, 2020 and 2021, let's be honest, has kind of taught us that, right, in terms of just getting back to basics and, what are the things that actually make us happy.
But what are basic things for you?
Some of the basic things for me, love and care, food. Let's be honest, food and shelter.
Yeah.
But also, and as I say, love and care, largely from your loved ones, your friends and your family. But also, I think for me, it's the ability to impact other people, to have some form of impact on other people. And I think that's that's part of the legacy I have in my mind whenever I'm doing all the things that I'm doing. It's really to try and add some sort of positive value on other people's lives.
Yeah.
And if you can change just one or two or three or whatever the number is, people in terms of the perspective, or helping them achieve goals that they want to achieve, then for me it's really worth it, and I get a raw sense of happiness from that.
That's amazing. And how was your daily schedule before and after COVID? How has it changed?
Has it changed? Okay, now we're going COVID. So busy and busy. So to be honest, it got busier. Actually,
Really?
I think it did. It did actually. From a work perspective, a personal perspective, it did get busier. We, particularly from a corporate perspective, just in terms of my day job, working in financial services, I mean, we're on Zoom, right? We're on the platform Zoom.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of Zoom before COVID. Never heard of it. The share price rocketed. Everything was, going crazy in terms of the stock market.
Yeah.
And as a consultant working in financial services, the industry, it was a very, very volatile time for stock markets. So actually, my clients became really, really busy trying to respond to the rally that was happening around the stock markets globally. So that was super, super busy. And that meant that some of the things that I was already looking at were put on the back burner. We had to change things and kind of repurpose our skill sets, repurpose our resources who were already fixed on jobs. It was just busy. And it also saw the explosion of digital disruption, which we've seen for some time. But if you really think about financial services, it's old school, it's legacy. We have systems and applications that have been in there for decades.
Yeah.
It's not, if you compare it to like a Facebook or a Netflix, it's really not that swanky, right? When you actually get under the bolts, lots of money being moved around, but it's not that swanky. So actually, the kind of the step up for financial services firms in terms of digital transformation has been much greater, and COVID has accelerated them to say, okay, actually, we can't now be, really, we have to do more. We have to do more. They've already come under attack by some of the kind of challenger banks. Like a lot of the people probably watching will have a TransferWise account or a Monzo account, etc. But banks, the old school banks really now realise that they have to do more in terms of digital disruption. So again, as a consultant in that field, we were very busy, and I was certainly very busy responding to, how we can help our clients get through those really, really tough times. And I think personally, the working from home concept with your loved ones has been it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah. So how do you think working more from home? Is it something that you would get back to? I mean, would you be working more from the office when things go back to normal again, or would you be doing both?
As a consultant, to be honest, we do both. So it wasn't that much of a challenge for me. I have a laptop, I have home equipment, so it's okay. I do both. But I think what we're definitely seeing is that nothing is really going to be normalized, right? That word just doesn't. I hate the word anyway. But going back to what things were like, we don't want things to go back to what they were like. I think 2020 has shown us that the world needs to change on so many fronts. So I think for me personally, and for Accenture, we're definitely having more adaptable let's say, adaptable and flexible kind of solutions in place to accommodate many different people's living scenarios during COVID, and whether or not, you know, the offices will be, of course, they will be fully open when they can be, but in terms of how you potentially rotate offices, you know, shift patterns, you know, having pseudo teams come in at different times, that may be a thing going forwards, as opposed to, you know, rush hour is the same time for everyone.
Exactly.
How about rush hour differs for different people? That would be cool, because then the trains wouldn't be as busy. So I think there are definitely lots of different I guess modes of you know, of response in terms of the post-COVID world being looked at. And I think it's really interesting that so many different industries are attacking this in a different way. So the ability to learn from other industries is also really interesting at the time.
And also have the opportunity to evolve and change your whole business strategy or how you operate.
Mind-blowing.
Exactly. And so as a mentor for Accenture, what do you get from being a mentor, and how much time do you commit to support the young generation of young entrepreneurs?
So what do I get from being a mentor, is the question? So look, I think there are, when I think of the word mentor, I mean, there's mentor for me, there's coach, and there's sponsor. And I think to do the role, you need to know the differences between those roles, and then play the right parts and know who to, you know, the kind of push someone to, in terms of, okay, actually you need a sponsor, right? Go talk to this person. And I think a mentor for me is somebody who you know, is going to be there to assist you. They're there to aid you. They're there to guide you. A coach for me is somebody who is probably a little bit more constant in terms of their coaching and their advice to you. And they are there to really do less talking and listen to you more, but help you get the best out of you based on what you are trying to achieve. But again, they're not the player for you. They are just a coach. And then for me, the next thing is really looking for a sponsor. And I think that's a really key thing, right? Having sponsorship, having somebody who is going to speak for you, who is going to advocate for you when you are not in the room, right? Who's going to say, hold on, that doesn't sound right. Or he's going to say, hold on, what about we consider XYZ? That's a sponsor. So I think for me, I do much more coaching and sponsoring, let's say, than kind of mentoring, if those definitions are clear. And it does take up some time, to be honest, it does. But again, if you kind of position your work so that you know, you have, you know, the Jochen, the Nick, the Pfizer, the James, the Bill, whoever, right, in your teams, and you trust them enough to get on with delivery because they're great, and they're running off and doing delivery, they're coming, you know, the model is they come to you with escalations, with challenges, etc. You guide them, but ultimately, you know, you're giving them the free rein to deliver. Then you actually do free up a little bit more capacity to do things like speaking sessions like this, or sponsoring, or coaching. So I think it's a duty for any leader out there at any level to help advocate for others and to help bring other people up. So I do it with passion and pride, but it does take up some time. I color coordinate my diary. And I'll ask my assistant to, you know, prioritize clearly certain meetings over others. But sometimes when I look at my diary, there's a lot of green, and green is the anything around people. So yeah, it does take up some time, but I think it's warranted because it's such an important thing these days.
Final question before I let you go.
No worries.
Career or business advice to other women watching you right now?
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard. So business advice to other females watching, other business females.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is, I don't know why I'm pausing, because I get this question a lot. But I think there's a few things that spring to mind, and I'll try and really summarize it. One for me is the biggest thing for me is how you think. It's your mindset. That's the one thing that no one else can take away from you. And that's something that is very, very powerful and unique to each person. And it's also something that you can train. You can train yourself to believe that you will be the next managing director, partner at Accenture or at your firm. And you can train yourself to believe that you could be vice president of the USA or president of the USA. You can just train your mind to believe that. And I think half of the battle I see when I'm coaching, advising people, is that there may not be that gut belief, right? There's the want. I want to be promoted. I want to achieve my goal. I want this, I want that, I want this. But actually, do you believe that you deserve it? Do you believe that you can? You know, I was speaking, I was coaching someone recently, and we were talking about you know, updates to potentially her CV.
Yeah.
And I had asked her, you know, where do you see yourself being positioned in the market? You know, what salary, what compensation would you be going for? And she was probably going for about 30% less than she would actually have got in a market based on her experience. And we tapped into that, and it was interesting for me that she was almost happy to go 30% less. And the question has to be, how much do you want it? So, and also alleviating the fear. And that's where the mindset comes in. We're all going to have fear. We're all going to have, you know, self-doubt and imposter syndrome. But you have to repeat in the mirror. Sounds silly, but you have to do it. Repeat in the mirror, you know, the mantra, whatever it is that's going to make you believe in achieving that goal. And I think that's the thing that's really important. Record yourself speaking over and over again. Do whatever it takes to do, you know, have sticky notes around your room. I've had to do this myself. I've had to train myself to be really comfortable speaking in front of large audiences. You can't shut me up now. It wasn't the case, you know, a number of years ago at all. I used to be petrified speaking. So I think you just have to train the mindset. It really does come down to a lot about how you think. And that's also some of the things I was on about before in terms of being a bit more risk savvy, thinking a little bit more like an entrepreneur, etc. Second thing for me is how you engage with other people. You cannot succeed alone. Success is not a journey on your own, and it's not linear. You have to have other people in your journey. It's like it's like a toolkit, right? When you want to, maybe there's a really bad analogy, but I was going to say change a light bulb, which is actually somewhat straightforward, depending on the light. I can assure you. But if you do have a complex light bulb, you're going to need lots of different tools. See that as the same thing in your journey, in terms of your journey, you know, in your corporate world, or your journey as in your own business venture. And know how to collaborate, know how to leverage other people. Be demanding. Are you demanding enough? Right? Are you asking for the things which are actually below what you should be asking for based on where the market is at, or are you asking for things higher? And do you know who to go to? Do you know who to leverage? And if you don't have a particular skill set, that's okay. Leverage your competition, right? Your competition, your peers. Only go against yourself. Only compete against yourself, not necessarily your competition. Because your journey is the only journey that really matters.
Wow.
And the last thing I would say is communication. Communication is so key, and the aspect of storytelling is something that I try to preach about a lot. And we don't have any time, but I would recommend that your audience reads a book called Weekend Language. It's a really good book for really trying to understand the simplicity of language. And as a consultant, we use lots of words like vocabularize and, you know, prioritize, all these like extenuated words, when actually we could just talk really simply like we do at the weekends to our friends or to our family. But even sometimes when we're doing that, we may not be that clear. And storytelling is all about knowing how to structure your words to an audience, whether the audience is one person or 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And in that, it's also knowing how to structure your words when you write stuff down, whether that's how you put together a CV or how you pull together an infographic for a commercial, or how you, quite frankly, sell yourself for your next promotion. Are you selling yourself enough? Do you know how to sell yourself? You know, I get a lot of people come and say, I want to get promoted. I say to them, what's your story? Tell me a story. They don't have a story. They just have a want. They just have a need. So we all have stories. I'm sharing some of my story in this segment. But having the story isn't enough. You need to know how to tell the story.
Exactly.
You need to know how to get vulnerable, how to be exposed as well. So those would be my three: mindset, how you engage with other people, and then the third one is how you communicate.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, Lucy, for your time for tonight, and I really appreciate it. And let's stay connected.
Absolutely. Will do. We're in the same time zone, so it helps.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so well, that's all for today, and I want to thank you all for listening. And if you found any value in today's episode, please share or like, and join me again next week, Tuesday, live on Facebook, 8 p.m. with Amar Akhtar. And Amar is the CEO and the founder of Final Rentals. And Final Rentals is the #1 car rental in the UAE. And yeah, so make sure you subscribe to the monthly newsletter on startupinvestments.nl for exclusive content and updates on the upcoming events. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Bye-bye.